What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Predator 2. So I have the DVD right here. Got a little front view. We got Danny Glover. We got the Predator over there. Beautiful cover. You got the back. It's a little bit messed up, but it's all good. I only paid $1 for it, so you know, pretty good purchase in my opinion. So here's the deal. Okay, Predator 2, this is going to sound crazy, but this was a first time watch for me. Like I said in my review of the original Predator, I grew up watching the original Predator. I've seen it countless times, and I would watch Predators quite a bit. The one from, I believe it's 2010. I watched that quite a bit as well, but yeah. And of course, you know, Alien versus Predator. But yeah, Predator 2, for some reason or another, I never saw it in my entire life. So yeah, I went into this completely blind. I didn't watch a trailer, nothing. You know, I was at the library. I saw Predator and Predator 2, and I had to pick them up. I mean, I owned the original Predator at one point, but I think like maybe it's somewhere deep in storage, or I got rid of it or something. But yeah, I picked up Predator 1 and 2 a couple months back, and I was like, oh, sick. Like, I've never seen Predator 2 before. Like, I was excited. So yeah, it was inevitable that I was going to check it out. And after checking it out, what do I think about it? I thought it was good. I mean, you can't touch the original Predator. Of course, Predator 2 is not as good as the original Predator. Like, the original Predator is just, it's such a classic. It's so quotable. It's so memorable. It's like, it's perfection, you know? Like, you can't really, it's hard for like the sequel to even be like on that level. So, is Predator 2 on the same level as the original Predator? Of course not, but for what it is, I think it's good, and I think it's a good sequel. So now I'm going to jump into the plot summary. So the movie takes place in Los Angeles. It's set 10 years after the events of the first movie, and it focuses around this gentleman, Lieutenant Mike Harrington, and he's a police officer, and it focuses around him and his team, and they're just trying to solve this string of murders. And initially they attribute it to gang violence because there's this whole crime wave where there's all this gang violence going on in Los Angeles during that time. So initially they think, you know, it's probably gang related, but as the story progresses, they start to believe that they're dealing with you know, like an unknown enemy that might be supernatural. They don't entirely know, but eventually they realize that it's the Predator. And you know, during the third act, Mike, he knows it's the Predator at this point, and he is trying to do everything in his power to defeat the Predator. So that is the basic plot summary. And yeah, so just getting into the cast, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger, he did not reprise his role in this. Him and Anna were the only two surviving characters in the last one. So yeah, none of the characters from the first one are in this. It's a totally new cast, but you do have some, you know, pretty recognizable actors in this. So the main character, Mike Harrington, I might have already mentioned this, but he's played by Danny Glover. And then this other cop on his team is played by Bill Paxton. He's kind of the comic relief. He's just like this total player, ladies' man. He's always cracking jokes. And then Gary Busey is also in this movie, and he's kind of more of a mysterious figure throughout the movie. Like, you don't really know what he's up to entirely, but then later on you kind of get to know like his motives, and he's kind of more front and center in the movie later on. Not front and center, like, of course, you know, Danny Glover, he's the lead, but yeah, like Gary Busey, he has like a pretty good role as well. So yeah, there you go. You got some notable actors. I really liked the different setting. I don't know, like the jungle setting was fantastic in the first movie, but I don't know, like they totally, okay, the city setting in this, the urban setting, they fully utilize it. Like there's some iconic imagery, and it was totally, like, it was absolutely awesome. But yeah, I always remember growing up, there was this game, but I never bought it, but I would like see it when I would go like buy PS2 games and stuff. I would see it at like GameStop or whatever game store I was at. Maybe at that time it was like Circuit City or something, but I would I would be at like a game store and I would see this game, Predator Concrete Jungle, and I couldn't get it because it was like M-rated, but I would always see that cover and I would be like, wow, that would be so cool, like Predator in the city. And I never knew that Predator 2 was set in the city, but yeah, it's such an awesome backdrop because like that title of that game, Concrete Jungle, that's kind of like the basis. Like it's like, you know, in like, of course I'm not saying that this is based off that because that came out after, that came out in like 2005 I believe, but I'm saying like that's kind of the vibe of this movie, where in the original movie the Predator is like climbing up trees, and this one he's climbing up buildings and he's posted up on top of buildings, and it's just like, it's cool to see Predator in this urban setting, and he like totally, like, I don't know, it worked. Like they totally utilized the setting. But yeah, just overall the imagery is fantastic. There's all these instances where the Predator just like hoists these bodies up, and there's just like dead bodies hanging from the ceiling of apartment buildings, and it's like just creepy, it's just eerie. Like I said, you have like the Predator climbing up buildings, and then he'll be like on the top of a skyscraper holding up a skull with like the spine attached, and then he gets like struck by lightning. Like the visual flair, the imagery in this is so iconic. Like the gore is really good. Like I said, you have the bodies hanging. There's, I don't want to like spoil it, but like later on, there's this one character gets basically like sliced in half. There's this one character, he's like this Jamaican gang member. His name's King Willie. He gets decapitated, and the Predator just like walking away with his severed head. That's really cool. And then we get to see inside the Predator's spaceship in this, and oh my goodness, like all the way they built that set, it's got this like orange tint to it, and it's just like, it almost looks like hieroglyphics on the wall. It's so cool. But yeah, like I think they fully utilized the LA setting. Like even in the third act, you got like Danny Glover, he's like climbing down skyscrapers, and like it's just, he's like climbing down giant elevator shafts, and yeah, like the whole city setting was fantastic, and yeah, they went all out with this. So you know, the like I said in my review of the first movie, there's tons of iconic lines in that. There weren't as many in this, but there were a couple. So Mike, Danny Glover's character, he says like he rips off the Predator's mask, and he says the same line that Arnold said in the first one. He's like, you're one ugly motherfucker. And then a little bit later, he just straight up calls the Predator pussy face. I mean, that's probably the best line in the movie. Like, how do you come up with that? I mean, it does. I mean, if you look at the predator's how the predator's mouth looks and stuff, it is a fitting name. But yeah, that was great. He's just like pussy face, and then yeah, like those are some of my favorite lines in the movie. And just getting into characters, I really liked Bill Paxton's character as well. He was almost like the comic relief, because Danny Glover's character was just, he was like the straight man. Like, he was like all about his business. He was always, going rogue. Like, he was just like this badass rogue police officer who was just like about his business. Bill Paxton was, he was a cop, and when he had to be serious, he had to be serious. But like, he was, like I said, more of the comic relief. He was just cracking jokes, and he would like hit on every single girl. Like, he would just see any woman, there'd be a woman there, a woman there. He would like mac on every single chick. Like, he was shooting his shot, so I respect it. But there's this one instance where he goes up to this woman and she's dancing with this other guy, and he's like, "Oh, that's my sister," and he just like pushes the guy out of the way, and he's like, "Oh wait, you're not my sister." I'm like, that's clever. Like, dude, this guy's got riz, he's got game. Like, he's a certified player. So yeah, I liked his character as well. You had some, like I said, good characters, couple good lines, all good. Okay, so I talked about there's kind of a lot of like gang gang themes in the movie, because there's like a lot of like gang wars going on in the timeline of this movie. So one of the gangs is this Jamaican gang, and it's so funny. Like, it's so stereotypical. Like, they always have like a super fat joint in their hand, and then like Mike goes to meet up with them, and they like open the door, and they're just hotboxing the whip. There's just like all kinds of smoke pours out, and then he gets in. They're like, "You want to smoke some ganja, man?" And then the joints these guys are smoking, they probably got like 5 grams in these joints, and it's not even a blunt. It's not even like they're smoking like a fat backwood, because I don't even think backwoods were a thing back then. But they're smoking like a fat, like 5-gram joint. I don't even know like where you would get a joint paper that big, because like, I don't know, were people smoking cones back then? I don't really know. Like, but like they must have been using, they must have took 20 papers. Like, if you were gonna measure it out and like how many joint papers it would take to roll that, like it probably took 20 papers just to roll the joints these guys were smoking. But it was funny. Like, it was so, like, it kind of, it does make sense, because like in, like some Jamaicans, they're like Rastafarians, where it's like part of their religion to smoke. But like, it's just so stereotypical. They had the Jamaican guys smoking, and they're just smoking the fattest joints, hotboxing the whip. Anytime they open the door, you could just got all kinds of smoke just pouring out. So I thought that was really funny. Moving on, this is like the craziest thing. I had to do a double take. I was like, is this real life? So, I mean, nowadays, in present day, we all know about Alien versus Predator, right? So, in this movie, once you get to like the Predator's spaceship, you see all the Predator's trophies on the wall, and there's human skulls, and then you see a xenomorph skull, and I was like, no way. Like, that was like a crazy Easter egg. I'm like, wait, so that was like hinted at in 1990? Like, I never knew. I thought just, I thought, of course I knew about Alien versus Predator, but I thought it just like came out of nowhere. I didn't know that it was like hinted at this early on. Like, I don't think when they made this, they necessarily knew that they were gonna do Alien versus Predator. I thought it was probably more just an Easter egg, but I thought that was so cool that they hinted at it so early on like that. And that's kind of like in Jason Goes to Hell when you know, Freddy's glove grabs Jason's mask and people are like, there's gonna be a Freddy versus Jason, no way, no way. And it's like the same deal too, where they hint at it like years and years and years before the movie's gonna come out, and they just give people like blue balls pretty much, like, when is Alien versus Predator gonna come out? When is Freddy versus Jason gonna come out? Like, people probably thought it was never gonna come out, you know. And that's kind of funny too, how like I love Freddy versus Jason, but it's funny like how long it took, like and Alien versus Predator, I don't remember if I like it or not. Like, I used to watch that a lot, but I don't know if I would like it upon rewatch. I think it's definitely got like mixed reviews, but I just think it's funny how they, both of these franchises, well, I guess it would be 4 franchises, like all of these franchises, they waited until they were like way past their prime to do a crossover. But I'm not hating on the actual crossover movies, because like Freddy vs. Jason, I think that movie is like perfection, and I wouldn't like it, who knows, like maybe if it came out in the 80s it would have been better, maybe it would have been worse, I don't know, but I like all the like the 2000s movies, so to me it's totally fine. But it is kind of funny how like all these franchises, they waited until like basically people didn't even really care about them anymore. I mean, people did, but I mean in like the mainstream, they weren't like, it wasn't like their peak, you know, like they definitely like faded out of relevance, like, you know, some of like the later sequels weren't doing as well, and then they're like, okay, let's do a crossover now. But anyways, I loved seeing the Xenomorph skull. Since I'm a relatively younger individual, I didn't really know that Alien vs. Predator was hinted at back in the 90s, so that's really cool. That's a cool Easter egg, and I was kind of like geeking out. I was like, no way, like that's absolutely awesome. So yeah, that was magical. That was beautiful. That just, I don't know, got me going. It got me excited. And then I got a couple funny moments that I want to get into, and then I'm gonna peace out. So yeah, this movie, you know, even though it was like a pretty straightforward action movie with, you know, some sci-fi elements, it did have some like good comedy in there too. So there's this instance where Bill Paxton's character is on the subway with like another one of his team members, like another police officer, and basically like there's this gang, they're trying to rob this dude, and then like you know, they whip out guns, and literally everyone on the subway whips out a gun. Like grandmas are whipping out guns, whoever, like all these unsuspecting individuals, just these regular ordinary citizens, like every single person has a gun and whips it out immediately. They're strapped up, they're ready to go. They're gangsters. So I thought that was extremely funny. And then there's this instance later on where the Predator like breaks into this like old lady's bathroom, and it's like cauterizing its wounds, and the Predator just like bursts through the door, and the old lady sees the Predator, and then Danny Glover comes through. He's like, it's okay, I'm a cop. And she's like, he doesn't care. Like, what does the Predator care? You're a cop. Like, he's gonna murk you like it's nothing. Like, I just thought that whole back and forth, that whole interaction was absolutely hilarious. And she just has like the Predator run through her house, and then like Danny Glover is just like coming out of nowhere running through her house. So yeah, that was an eventful day for that lady. Like, I straight feel bad for her. But yeah, that was a really funny standout scene as well. So yeah, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to say. So in terms of a recommendation, I would recommend this. You know, don't get in your head like it's gonna be a classic like the first one. It's like it doesn't stack up to the first one, but is it a fun movie? Is it a good sequel? Is it worth watching? I think it is. So I would recommend it. If you're a Predator fan, definitely check it out. But anyways, that has been my recommendation, and that has been my review of Predator 2. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.